Are we headed towards internal borders in the United States? Are we one step closer to a papers, please form of government, where you must have permission to go from state to state? No longer can we travel uninhibited. Well, at least for right now, anyways, we cannot travel unhindered, at least in some parts, and if you're from some places. The whole world has gone topsy-turvy, and everybody has lost their goddamn minds. Now Florida is setting up border checkpoints to screen travelers from New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut and get them to quarantine. Yes, I like how they say checkpoints and then it's only a screening. And when I saw this, I wanted to make sure it was true. And yes, yes, there are indeed border checkpoints that they then say are screenings. Is it a screening or is it a checkpoint? Which is it? It's a checkpoint. They are stopping individuals in their travel in order to verify that they are not from these states. If they are from these states, they are taking extra screening precautions and things like that. Quite interesting. And not the only one. Rhode Island is pulling over people with New York license plates as well. Police and the National Guard troops are deployed to warn visitors they must self-quarantine as locals' resentment builds towards people fleeing coronavirus hotspots. And that is going to happen. And here is human nature. I always say on this channel that if you study history and you study the way humans react and interact during any other historical event, you can pretty much predict pretty much on a dime how humans are going to act in the future. Technology or not, the human brain is not a computer. It's still wired the way it's been for the last few 100,000 years. People are going to build resentment. People are going to label the people from New York and Connecticut and Vermont and places like that some sort of, they'll come up with a slang word for it. I don't know, a walking infected. I don't know, pull something out of the blue. And it is going to cause resentment. It's going to cause fights. And then law enforcement is going to get involved to stem the fights. And the fact that law enforcement and police are pulling over people with New York, Connecticut, and Vermont plates and putting them through these extra screenings is not helping in the least. It really isn't. It's actually feeding fuel to the fire. It's kind of a bit of a slippery road that we're going down right now. Man, I just don't know. I don't know. I see things going safety and security, people, versus freedom. The more freedom you have, the less safety and security you have. And the more safety and security you have, the less freedom you have. So it's up to you, my friends, my fellow Americans, my fellow human beings, my fellow revelers of the wonders of the planet Earth, for you to decide where we stop. Because no matter what the government says, no matter what the police say, no matter what the military says, it's the United States people as a whole that are the bosses of this country. And at some point, we've got to decide, where does our freedom end and our security begin, and where does our security begin and our freedom end? Freedom's never free, and we are giving up quite a lot of freedoms lately here. I mean, like, quite a lot. And don't get me wrong, I understand. It's a multifaceted situation. There's no perfect answers. There aren't. I just see things developing faster and faster and faster, it seems. And I know this thing is going around the world, and it's a bad thing. I just hope that these aren't forever measures. Can you imagine the United States of the future having to get permission, special papers, and you come up to the checkpoint and it's papers, please, as some jackboot thug walks up to you and demands your authentication and your pedigree in some cases. I mean, honestly, that's what this is. Are you from New York? Well, that's your pedigree. That's where you're from. Well, you're infected. You are less. And we're developing this us versus them mentality. And we need to be aware that it exists and what we can do to kind of say, hey, you know, it's not us versus them. It's us versus it. Anyways, I just wanted to get my thoughts and opinions out there and culminate anybody who wishes to comment what their thoughts and their opinions of this are. Too much? Too little, too late? Just right? Goldilocks? It's just right. I love you guys. You guys stay informed. Get your news from multiple sources. And yeah, kind of going crazy a little bit. I'll see you on the next one, guys.